Alright, so today we are doing goniometry for trunk flexion, and this is measured in the sagittal plane with a firm end feel, and there's no normal value for this, but there are two methods to test it. The first method to test it is to have the patient bend forward and reach down and touch their toes. So I'm going to have you put your chin down to your chest and slowly start to reach down and touch your toes. And from here, you would take a tape measure and you would want to measure the distance in centimeters from the patient's middle or long finger down to the ground. So in this instance, it would be about 2 centimeters. So that would be the measurement for that. The second measurement would be to have the patient measure along their back. And for this, you're going to have the patient touch their chin to their chest. And this will help you identify on their back the C7, which would be right about here. And you also want to identify another landmark, which is going to be the S1. And to test for the S1, you want to go across the patient's iliac crest, find that, and when you come straight across, you'll get to the L3, L4 junction, and you feel for the spinous process, and you go down, you'll feel L4, L5, and then S1. And once you get your mark on S1, you will measure in centimeters from the C7 when the patient's chin is at their chest down to where their S1 is. And from here, you're going to get a measurement of 47 centimeters because this will be a more accurate measurement. And you're going to ask the patient again to put their chin to their chest and reach down and touch their toes. And you don't want to lose your marks. You want to keep the measurement still. And here we get to 56 centimeters. And you'll take that measurement and you will subtract it and the patient can come back up. So for this, the measurement would be 56 minus the 47, which would get you 9 centimeters for the goniometry. All right, so today we're going to be doing trunk extension goniometry. And trunk extension happens in the sagittal plane. It has a firm end feel, and there's no normal range for this. So in order to test this, you're going to have your patient first put their hands on their hips, and then you're going to have them face towards a wall. You want them to focus on a spot on the wall. That way it'll allow them to arch their back, but not arch their neck. So we don't want them arching their neck because that'll give us a proper reading. And the landmarks for this are the same as trunk flexion. You're going to be focusing on the C7 spinous process and the S1 spinous process. And to help locate the C7 spinous process, you're going to have the patient put their chin down to their chest. And then it'll be located the first main bump that comes out. And then to also locate the S1 would be the same, going across the iliac crest where the patient's hands are. You come across, you feel the L3, L4 junction, you go down, L4, L5, and then S1. And then you go ahead and measure from there in centimeters because this will give you a more accurate reading. And this patient's is 37. And then from here, you're going to have the patient still focus on one spot on the wall, and you're going to have them arch their back backwards, but you want to make sure they stay focused on the one spot. That way they do not arch their neck. So go ahead and start arching back. And with this, we get down to 34 centimeters. So you take that initial measurement and subtract from the 34, and that gives you your degrees of movement for the goniometry. So today we're going to be testing trunk extension by using the push-up method. So for this, you want to have the patient laying in prone on a table, and you also want to have a belt going across their hips. That way you don't get them into hip extension when you're doing this. So you're only testing the extension of the trunk and not being accommodated by the hips. So for this, in order to measure it, you want to have measurement from the patient's sternal notch directly down to the base of the table, and we're going to use centimeters because it'll be a more accurate measurement. So for this, we're going to have the patient do as much of a push-up as possible without lifting their hips off of the table. And you're going to go from the patient's sternal notch and go straight down. And with that, we're going to get 33.5 centimeters, and that would be the measurement for the amount of extension in the trunk.